Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this class. Well, I see that there is just a few of us. Do you know what's the problem? Where is the rest of your classmates? Anyone?
En informática de seguir.
They have a class in evaluation.
Es que lo que pasa es que en mi caso se me apagó mi computadora, entonces yo dije, mejor me meto a la segunda clase porque esta ya está por terminar. Entonces,
Ah,
ajá.
okay, I see. Well, we are just seven students. Well, doesn't matter. We can start, and obviously this class is going to be recorded. It's going to be available in YouTube, and also you have the guidelines to follow everything, even though you're not here. So I'm gonna require your cooperation, your collaboration to participate in every single thing I ask. We have a couple of things to do today. As you know, is the first content we're gonna work, the first date of class, and we're gonna work with the spotlight on literature lesson 1 and unit 1, which is the literature section. We're gonna read some myths. And let me share the information with you. Just let me find it. Here it is. So if you have your books, it's gonna be easier to follow me. On page 10, we're gonna read 4 myths. The White House, Weddings in the Sky, From Ashes and Tree, and A Giant World. Pages from 10 to 13 in your spotlights on literature E. Right, let's move to today's agenda. Well, we're gonna have an space to reflect a little bit on certain matters. Today, we're gonna try to discuss about the school's tagline or the school logo or the motto is the motto. It is men and women for others. But in the social network, especially on Twitter, you can find that hashtag, siempre más para los demás. And maybe you're not so familiar with it in English because it's the first time that I see it translated into English. So, and there you have it. So there you have the hashtag always more for others, which means exactly the same as the one in Spanish. All right, anybody who wants to tell me what these words really mean to you? Because they seem like they very simple words, but let me tell you that they have a deep meaning inside. It got a deep meaning and very useful in today's society. So anyone please who can open the microphone and tell me,
I can help you. Do you hear me?
please.
Do you hear me?
Okay, please.
Do you hear me good or bad?
Excellent.
Sorry for my internet because it's not good my internet, but I'm
Okay.
gonna try. Okay. Always more for others. I
Mhm.
think that when we help the other people, the friends or any people, doesn't matter if we know who is how, but we have to know a little because we can help a killer or you know.
Mhm.
Okay. But when we help the other people, we can feel happy. We can find the happiness when we help the others. And someone said that if you help one people, you will save the world. Something like that. You will save the world. Something like that. Only that.
All right, thank you very much. So you really remind me something that I have in mind. Where every time that I read "Always More for Others," I recall the example of Jesus Christ. I don't know how much you believe in God. I don't know if you attended to a particular church. Well, in my opinion, I really recommend you to do it. But I remember Jesus Christ said the example. Remember that he gave up his life for us, for our sins. And like you said, we sometimes we don't know if you're helping a murderer, a criminal, a felon, or somebody, we don't know. But we are happy through helping others in need, because we can help in different ways. And I think one of the things that is implied in this tagline is the fact that from your position, from your occupation, from whatever you do for a living, you have to think to help others to achieve their destinies, to achieve success in their lives. And this is what your words remind me, Carlos. Thank you very much for your participation. For the ones who are just joining the room, the class, we are thinking out about the tagline, the school motto, men and women for others. So anybody wants to give an opinion what these words really mean to you? How can they be applicable in our society nowadays that it needs people like that? Anybody? Tell me what these words really mean to you. Hello, hello. Are you actually online or just pretending?
Yes, teacher.
Thank you.
I'll tell you mine. For me, it means that we have to think, take into consideration other people uh, while we are doing things, because we don't know how could them affect the others. So we have to have them in mind. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So you have said something very vital that we have to consider. Every single action that we make, every single action that we do got consequences, good or bad, for others. So you say, no, no, this is my life. This is whatever I do. Nobody cares what I do. No, you're wrong. You're totally wrong. Everything you do affects somebody else's positively or negatively. And when you help others, you really are doing something great for the rest of the community. And you don't know when you're gonna need from somebody else. And I think that the philosophy of the founder was that, I mean, get ready for the battle. I mean, learn everything you can. So in your profession, you're going to be successful, but don't think just in your salary, because nowadays people are thinking to become lawyers, doctors, and everything just because they're going to make good cash. And this is not the purpose. This is not the vision that the founder had. I mean, you're going to become someone, but to give yourself to others. Like I said before, like Jesus Christ himself did, right? So thank you very much for your participations. Now, well, in the agenda said the reflection, we already been there. We're gonna talk a bit about myths. I bet that you know the concept, you manage the concept, because this is one of the topics that you work in Spanish, right? Then we're gonna listen and read the myths. There are four you have on page 10 in your spotlight. If you don't have the book, don't feel concerned. I just sent you the link for the audios. Do you receive them? I received I get that you received them today again, because I sent it a week ago. But because just in case that you have lost them, I resend it. Did you get them? Someone said yes. And the rest of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
teacher.
thank you so much. So now I need someone to help me out with the concept. You can find, well, if you look, you surf the net, if you look up the meaning or the concept of a myth, you will find a lot of options and all of them might be correct. But this is one that I have chosen because I like it, because it's kind of simple. In simple words, it describes a simple concept. So anybody please open or unmute your mic and read it out loud, please.
Myth.
Please.
Myth. A traditional story, especially one concerning the early story of a people or explaining some natural or social phenomenon, and typically involving supernatural beings or events.
Thank you so much. So people has been always curious about their surroundings. What is all around us is always have kept our imagination going. And you say, why the earth, why the sky is blue, why the water, why the fire burns? So all of these questions that came to humans' minds, they didn't have the responses by those years because, you know, technology was not so advanced like nowadays it is. And even though we don't have a real explanation of the world that surrounds us, and so people start telling stories. They try to explain some phenomena, natural phenomena, with some particular characters, like it says in that concept. It says that they involve supernatural beings, like gods, different gods created different stuff. So there's a god for fire, there's a god for water, there's a god for everything, because people could not explain the origin of things. So I think that you believe in the creation theory, and also in the evolution. If we actually evolve or we were created, or both theories complement each other. So this is what I think, that we were created by God, by a supreme being, but also there might be a scientific explanation, and there's where the two theories meet to become one. But people is divided. I mean, scholars has been divided by different opinions they have about the origin of things. So I want to hear you. So what do you think? What do you believe in? Why we're here and all that? Anybody?
For me, I believe in both that complement each other.
Oh, great. So you're like me. Anybody else?
Teacher, I think the evolution is the theory that I believe, but
Mm-hmm.
in the past, imagine 2,000 years ago, how do you explain someone? How do you explain a farmer how how we how we create? So we need we need the explanation of the creation,
Mm-hmm.
gives answers to the past human.
Okay. All right. So you start questioning the tradition. So my dear Ernesto said that he believes in science. I do believe in science, but someone must create science. And who was that person? Alfaro, you're raising your hand, Lourdes. Do you have an opinion about it?
I believe that God created us, but also religion is tied to science. Sometimes religion is more about faith and science of explanation of facts.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's great. That's an excellent opinion, Lourdes. Let me see. Julio said, I'm agnostic, but I feel that most of logical is science. All right. I respect that. And Jessica is making some religious propaganda here. Okay, thank you, Jessica. I respect that. Anybody else? The last opinion, and then we move to the next slide. Agnostic. Oh, Cities also is agnostic. So you are the ones that you need to see, you need to smell, you need to touch something to make it real. Anybody else? The scientists created the science. Well, they created the study of the word, right? Also, Valentin is with religious propaganda. All right, so I see that you have no opinions in the big, I believe in the evolution in the Big Bang. Yeah, I do believe in those things, but there must be someone that push all of these changes in the planet. They must have an explanation, and there must be someone behind the what is the universe? But you see, it's complicated. So even now we have evolved years and years and years, and we don't have the answers. You just have to believe in something. All right, the myths have certain characteristics. These stories get some uh, particular characteristics related to their characters, settings, and plot. Anybody who wants to help me out with the particulars of the characters in myths? Please, please.
I teacher.
Please.
Um, often non-humans and are typically gods,
Goddesses.
goddesses, supernatural beings, or mystical.
Yeah. So one of the things that you will find in the myth are that the characters are non-human ones. For instance, gods, goddesses, supernatural beings, or mythical animals. So this is very common, like El Cipitío, but this is a legend. Well, I don't really know the difference between legend and myth because they're kind of related, but the myth get a particular characteristic, that is they try to explain some truth, some hidden truth by fictional stories. So they explain by fictional stories hidden truth of the universe, like you were discussing at the beginning. What about the settings? Help me out, please. Please, 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 please.
What is setting? Setting. So,
The place is the place where the story happens.
okay. I can help you to read if you want.
Please, please, Carlos.
Typically ancient or prior to a time when records were kept and set in a world very similar to our own, but with supernatural monsters or areas.
Thank you very much. So the settings or the places where the story happens are typically before the time, from the dawn of the times. From dawn of times is an expression that Americans use a lot, by the way. So from the beginning of everything, before our times. And also include supernatural monsters or areas like hell, like heaven, you know, those places that people talk a lot. And what about the characteristics of the story, the plot itself? Anybody who can help me out?
May,
Please.
may take place between a supernatural world and our present-day world. Highlights basic humans' behaviors are essential in any setting.
They talk about basic human behaviors like ambition, like hate, like all of these things that make us human, our emotions. And they are in the between two worlds, the supernatural one and the present times and all that. Thank you very much, guys. Then also there are some natural laws. Myth possess events that bend or break natural laws. So how is it possible that we can see some men able to carry out some heavy burden or to move a mountain from place to another, from one place to another, or monsters. So they really break the natural laws. They are social actions. They try to tell people how to act and live, like if they have a moral. It says also that they have some core values such as individualism, family, community, that are also installed in mythical heroes. This is another character that you can see in the myth, the hero one, the heroic man, because they were not women. Well, they are in some myths. There were some women who were heroines. And mystery, they have a sense of mystery of the unknown. Like I said, they try to explain some truth that are hidden for the human understanding. Now we know that. I don't want to go over this right now, the summary of the 4 myths, because I want you to read them. I want you to read them. If I gave you the summary right now, you say, the teacher just said everything that the myth were all about. As you can see here, I have the myth and I have the summary. We're gonna read them for sure in class. But first, I want you to read them. You can listen and read along. If you don't have the book, just pay close attention. I'm gonna share the audio with you.
Teacher,
Tell me.
in what page?
Page 10. Page 10 in your spotlights. There we go. Ready or not, here we go. We're gonna listen to the myth, the White House waiting in the sky from ashes and tree, and a giant word on page number 10.
The White House, African Yoruba myth. In the beginning of time, there lived Olorun, the supreme being. He was served by other gods, including the great god Orisha Nla. The gods sometimes came down from their heavenly abode to play in the marshy waste below on lace-like spiderwebs. Olorun, having tired of the marshy waste, said to Orisha Nla, "With this snail shell, make earth on the world below us." Inside the shell there was loose earth, a pigeon, and a hen with 5 toes. With these gifts in hand, Orisha Nla descended into the marshy waste. The magical loose earth went into a small part of the marsh. Once the pigeon and the hen were released, they went about scratching the earth until they separated land from sea. Orisha Nla then went to Olorun and reported, "I have followed your command and created land on which to walk." Olorun dispatched Chameleon to inspect the land. Chameleon descended into the once watery marsh on the lace-like spiderweb and concluded that the land was both wide and dry. Olorun named the land Ife. In the Yoruba language, Ife means wide. Later, Olorun added Ile, which means house. This was the first place on earth. To the Yoruba, the city of Ife Ile is the most sacred of cities to this day. It took Orisha Nla 4 days to create earth. Orisha Nla rested on the 5th day. Olorun, however, was still not satisfied. Once again he summoned Orisha Nla and said, "The earth will need trees to nourish and shelter the humans I will create." Olorun then gave Orisha Nla a palm nut to provide the earth's first inhabitants with oil, juice to drink, and seeds to plant. Rain fell from the sky to water the newly planted seeds at Olorun's request. They flourished into a great forest. Olorun then asked Orisha Nla to mold figures from the earth. However, Orisha Nla was unable to give them life, as that power is reserved for the supreme being, Olorun himself. Orisha Nla, jealous of Olorun's power to give life, hid in the supreme being's workshop to discover his life-giving secrets. Olorun became aware of this and caused Orisha and La to fall into a deep sleep. When Orisha and La woke from his slumber, Olorun had already given life to the figures. To this day, Orisha and La fashions the bodies of humans, but only Olorun knows the secret to giving them life. Weddings in the Sky, Maize on Earth. Native American Pawnee myth. Tirawa-Atius, the god who created all things and creatures, organized the universe to his liking. To the east he placed the sun, and the moon to the west. He created the path of departing spirits, which the white man knows as the Milky Way. To the east of the path of the departing spirits is the morning star, or the male principle. To the west is the evening star, or the female principle. Tirawa-Atius gave the evening star command over the wind, thunder, lightning, and clouds. Morning Star began to court Evening Star, but she bid her time, for she knew the time to make living things on earth had not come yet. Morning Star became frustrated with the obstacles Evening Star placed between them. In anger, he threw a ball of fire into the watery abyss below. This endless expanse of water was ruled by the Great Serpent. When the Great Serpent saw that the Morning Star had thrown a ball of fire towards the water, it went beneath the waves to protect itself. As the ball of fire hit the water, the drying water revealed earth and rocks. Morning Star saw them and picked a pebble from the earthen materials. He threw it into the chaos, and it became the earth. Once the earth was where it should be, then Tirawa-Atius interceded to appoint the gods north, south, east, and west to support the four corners of the world. Morning Star and Evening Star eventually wed and had a daughter. As a wedding gift, Evening Star asked Morning Star to water her celestial garden, which lay in the path of the departing spirits, high above the earth. He made the first rainfall for her. When their daughter was born, Evening Star placed her on a cloud that took her to earth. Within Evening Star's celestial gardens, plants of all kinds flourished, even Mother Maize, the greatest of food plants. As a gift to her daughter, Evening Star gave her maize to plant on the newly created earth, but her daughter put it away. Sun and Moon wed and conceived a son. Son of Sun and Moon married daughter of Evening Star and Morning Star. They beget all living beings. The daughter took the maize her mother had given her and planted it with her husband. They were the first to plant maize on earth. Evening Star, approving of their creations, made the sacred bundle, a bag with a collection of sacred items from the earth, and taught the inhabitants of this new world the thunder ceremony they still perform today. From Ashes and Tree, Norse Icelandic myth, adapted. In the beginning there was no heaven or earth, just an infinite darkness shrouded in mist. 12 rivers flowed out from that fountain like spokes in a wheel. These rivers froze in their journey away from their origin. South of the dark mist there was light. One day a southern wind blew in the direction of the rivers, and the ice began to melt. The warmth of the air and the cold of the ice created the clouds that danced in the sky. From these clouds sprang forth Ymir, the frost giant, and the cow whose milk nourished him, Audhumla. The cow liked the salt of the ground that had been exposed when the ice began to melt. Audhumla continued to lick and lick until the ice she had been licking began to take the appearance of a man. On the first day, Audhumla carved the man's hair. On the second day, his head and shoulders. The man's entire body was done by the third day. Thus Buri, the first god, was born. Buri became the father of Bor. Bor later fathered the first Aesir gods, Odin, Vili, and Ve, with the giantess Bestla. Odin, Vili, and Ve slay Ymir. The seas were created by Ymir's spilled blood. Out of the remnants of his bones mountains grew, and from his flesh the earth. His hair turned into the sacred plants such as the ash, and emla, elm, trees. Odin saw it fit to populate the earth and created a man out of the ash. From the elm he molded a woman. Odin breathed life and soul into both of them. Vili gifted them with reason and mobility. Ve granted them the ability to speak. Odin then saw it fit to organize the world by separating light and dark, thus creating day and night. He then created Midgard, or Middle-earth, so that his newly created beings had a place to dwell upon. For the gods he created a heavenly home named Asgard. Yggdrasil, the mighty ash tree, was the universe's foundation. Yggdrasil's roots ground Midgard, Asgard, and Niflhel. It is in the underground world of Niflhel where Odin's sister Hel keeps a watchful eye on the souls of the dead. The young gods thought they had killed Ymir, but he never truly died. A part of him lives at the foot of Yggdrasil. When Ymir moves, the world shakes. A Giant World, Chinese myth. In the beginning, the world was chaos, and heaven and earth were one. Within the darkness of the chaos, an egg formed. Pangu, the giant, came to life within this cosmic egg. There he slept and grew for the next 18,000 years. He grew and grew until one day he stretched and broke the egg into two. The top of the egg, which was light and clear, drifted upwards to become the sky and heaven. The bottom, which was dark and turbid, sank and became the earth. Thus earth and heaven, the female and male principle, yin and yang, came into being. Pangu was like no man, being a giant. He was pleased with the separation of heaven and earth, and wanted it to remain that way. He rose to his great height and placed his hands underneath the heavens, and his feet firmly upon the earth. Over the next 18,000 years, Pangu continued to grow at a rate of 10 feet per day. Once heaven and earth were separated at a fixed distance, the giant was satisfied that heaven and earth would not join each other again. After such an exertion, Pangu was tired. He lay down upon the newly created earth, never to rise again, for he died in his sleep. His body, however, did not go to waste. Until his death, the world had only been separated into heaven and earth. Now his body helped fill the rest of the world. The soil was created from Pangu's flesh, the rocks, metals, and stones from his bones. The rivers and seas sprang into being from his blood. The roads all humankind travels came from his veins. North, south, east, and west came from his arms and legs, and the mountains from his torso. The grass and herbs on the land came from Pangu's body hair. The rain that nurtures the land sprang forth from the sweat on his brow. His bone marrow became jade. The stars in the sky came into being from the hair on his head. One of his eyes became the sun, the other the moon. Pangu's voice awakened and gave way to thunder and lightning. His last breath became the wind and clouds in the sky. From the creatures that feasted on his decomposing body came all the different races that dwell on earth. Some believe that while Pangu's body died, his spirit lingers. It is said that as the mood of his spirit shifts, so does the weather upon heaven and earth.
Okay, there we have it. We have heard and read the 4 myths. So I can say that now we can go over the summary of the myths, and I'm gonna ask you a few questions about what happened in every single one. Here we are. So anybody who can read the characters of the White House, the African myth? Did you fall asleep?
Me, teacher.
Please.
The characters: Olorum, the supreme being; Orishan La, servant god; and Chameleon, servant god.
Thank you very much. So there you have it. We got 4 important characters here. Olorum is the supreme being. That means that he is the all almighty, but he needs the help of a couple of servants who were actually gods, but probably in a different rank or something. Orishan La and Chameleon. So it says right there that at the beginning everything was a marshy waste until Olorum got tired of it. So he was tired of going to play to a place like that, dark and without any kind of shape. And he commanded another god, a servant, Orishan La, to create something new. How long did it take Orishan La to create Earth? It says right there.
I think 4
4
days.
days.
4 days. And what did he do in the 5th day?
Take a rest.
He took some rest. So according to the, well, I will say tradition because I see that we have an audience here that doesn't believe in God. So according to the creational theory, how long did it take to God to create Earth? How long did it take our God to create Earth? 7 days, says
6
Rodrigo.
days.
6 days. 6 days. So you're really agnostic, aren't you? Yeah, technically 6. And 7, what did he do in the 7th day? Exactly.
To take a rest.
Yeah, he took some rest. So also Rodrigo said it right there. All right, then how was this word, the White House, created? Because Olorum got tired of this word, the way it was, and he commanded Orishan La to create something different. But how? How he did it? Hello, hello, planet Earth, calling seniors 2021. How did he do it?
He gave to Orishan La a snail shell.
With something inside. What was inside?
Inside was loose earth, a pigeon, and a hen with 5 toes.
Yeah, thank you. There was loose earth, a pigeon, you know, that kind of bird. Well, there were 2 birds actually, the pigeon and the hen. They are animals and they belong to the birds classification. But this hen got 5 toes. Then the pigeon started scratching on earth and earth was separated from the waters. Simple as that. Not complicated, right? And you are trying to understand the Big Bang and all that. And it was easy, just a pigeon, a hen, they started scratching the earth and they split waters and earth. Easy busy. Then what happened? Chameleon were inspecting the land because Olorum said, I want to check out what Orishan La is doing. And then Chameleon inspected the area and he said it was okay, right? But they needed something else. Right here, it says something about what happened with the plants, how plants were created. Anybody who can tell me that? How plants were created in this world? Well, sleep on that because it's time to go. We have 1 minute. to finish the class. So we're gonna continue tomorrow discussing this. Yeah, thank you, Daniel, with a palm nut. Thank you very much. So we're gonna continue tomorrow discussing this myth. So everything's clear, every single detail is gonna be clarified and discussed in the next section. Thank you very much, guys, for your participation. It's nice to see you even on the screen. And thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
teacher.
teacher.
Goodbye,
Bye.
teacher.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
teacher.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks, teacher. Bye.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
teacher.
Bye.
Teacher.